in recent weeks, Nintendo has secured patents in the United States that have left the gaming industry quite unsettled. On the surface, they appear to describe familiar ideas, summoning creatures in a battle, using companion characters, or even riding and flying on them. These mechanics, many people would consider fundamental to many games, and yet now, somehow, they have been granted patent protection. It is an embarrassing failure of the patent system itself, and if left unchallenged, these patents could shape the way games are designed and who is allowed to design them. Patents exist to protect innovation. When someone invents something new, the patent system is supposed to give them exclusive rights for a period of time, rewarding creativity while eventually allowing others to build on it. But for the system to work, the invention must be actually new, and it must not be something obvious to professionals in the field. In video games, this boundary has always been difficult to define. A mechanic may feel fresh and exciting when it appears for the first time, but is it truly an invention, or is it simply a creative arrangement of ideas that already existed? This question sits at the heart of controversy that is now surrounding Nintendo. The company recently secured two key patents. The first is known as the 387 patent, covering mechanics that involve riding or flying on creatures, and the second, known as the 397 patent, goes further. It describes systems for summoning sub-characters into battle. In other words, calling helper characters or creatures to fight alongside the player. Now, anyone familiar with Pokemon will recognize these mechanics. They have been present in one form or another throughout the franchise, appearing clearly in recent titles like Let's Go Pikachu Eevee and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. But these ideas extend beyond Pokemon. They are common across gaming, from role-playing titles that feature summons, to MMOs that allows pets and companions, to strategy games where units can be deployed in waves and tower defense kind of games. The question then becomes, can such familiar mechanics truly be patented? And if so, what happens to everyone else who uses them? Normally, the US Patent and Trademark Office is tasked with filtering out claims that are too broad and too obvious. Applications are compared against what's called prior art, meaning earlier patents, published materials, or existing media. Most applications face rejection at least once before being refined or abandoned. This process ensures that patents are reserved for genuine innovation, not for ideas that are already part of the creative landscape. But when Nintendo submitted its applications, the 387 patent was initially rejected because it overlapped with older patents from Tencent and Microsoft. Nintendo then adjusted the language and the office approved it. 397 patent, the most controversial of the two, was granted with almost no resistance at all. There was little explanation, little to no scrutiny, and almost no challenge. For Kirk Sigmund, a lawyer specializing in intellectual property for video games, this was a serious failure. His words were clear. These patents should not have been granted. In his view, the patent office failed its responsibility to the industry. At first glance, this may seem like a legal technicality, something that affects lawyers more than players, but the consequences reach far beyond the courtroom. If Nintendo chooses to enforce these patents, any developer who uses similar mechanics could face legal action. Even if their games are different, even if they believe that they will win in court, the risk of fighting a company as large as Nintendo is overwhelming. For independent studios, the cost of a lawsuit could prove to be fatal. For larger studios, it could mean redesigning entire projects at a great expense, and so the effect is felt even before a lawsuit is filed. Developers, aware of the danger, begin to avoid these mechanics altogether, to play it safe, choosing not to include features that players might expect simply because the legal ground is too uncertain. One of the most troubling aspects of this patent is how little regard seems to have been given to prior mechanics in older games. Creature summoning is not new. It has appeared in games for decades, from Final Fantasy's iconic summons, to companions in World of Warcraft, to countless similar titles that have experimented with helper creatures and deployable units. Heck, Dragon Quest has done this years before Nintendo. The patent law has a standard for this. If a person skilled in a field would find an idea obvious, then it should not be patentable. And yet, despite the long history of these mechanics, the office approved Nintendo's claims with little justification. Critics argue that the reasoning in the official documents is shallow, often repeating the language of the application itself rather than seriously engaging with existing examples. This is why the issue extends beyond Nintendo. If broad and obvious mechanics can be patented with so less resistance, then the floodgates open for other big companies to attempt the same. What begins with creature summoning could spread to other features, creating a patchwork of patents that trap developers into a minefield of restrictions. Imagine Activision going ahead and patenting guns in a video game, or imagine Rockstar going ahead and patenting open world in video games. Would not that just completely crush the entire video game industry? The worst case situation is one in which these patents are enforced aggressively. Imagine a studio releasing a game that allows players to summon allies in combat. Nintendo could issue a cease and desist or even file a lawsuit. Even if the studio believes it has a strong defense, the cost of fighting back could run into millions of dollars. many would just simply settle or remove the feature entirely. Smaller studios might not even reach that point. The mere existence of these patents could be enough to stop them from developing certain mechanics. Why take the risk when one letter from Nintendo could end your entire project overnight? Over time, this leads to a chilling effect. Developers begin to avoid entire categories of ideas, not because they lack the merit or the skills to develop these games, but because they fear the legal consequences. There are ways in which the situation can be challenged, of course, but none are simple. One option is legal. If Nintendo tries to enforce these patents, other companies could take them to court and attempt to invalidate them. But the process is very expensive, and most studios won't take that risk. Other option is reform. The patent office could change its standards, applying stricter tests to gameplay mechanics and ensuring that broad ideas and obvious ideas are not patented. This would require a systemic change, likely driven by pressure from both the industry and the public. Developers themselves could also respond collectively. By joining together, they could lobby for a change or create defensive groups to resist abusive patents. And on a broader scale, raising awareness among players definitely helps. The more people understand how patents affect games they love, the harder it is for these issues to go unnoticed. Nintendo's new patents highlight a fault in the relationship between creativity and law. The patent system is supposed to encourage innovation, but when it allows companies to claim ownership over ideas that are already part of the culture of gaming, it risks doing the opposite. By granting patents on mechanics like creature summoning, the system does not protect innovation or inventions, it just threatens it. Whether Nintendo chooses to enforce these patents aggressively or not, their very existence creates a big shadow. Developers now must consider not just what they can create, but what they're allowed to create. And in that gap, something definitely is lost. This is not simply a story about Nintendo's business decisions. It's a story about how structures meant to protect creativity can sometimes be turned against it. And it's a reminder that the future of gaming will be shaped out not just by imagination, but by the laws that govern it. What do you think about Nintendo's patents? Are they protecting their intellectual property, or are they overreacting in a way that really hurts the industry? Do you believe mechanics like creature summoning should ever be patented? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you found this video interesting, consider subscribing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.